And welcome back to ppsimmons Radio. You know, I gotta admit, guys, I have been excited about doing this interview for a long time. I don't know. You guys remember over there when I was talking about this invention that the scientists had come up with? Where they figured out a way to use sound to manipulate metal objects. You guys remember we talked about that? That was awesome because for years now we've been mocked about events in the Bible where it seemed like God was manipulating metal objects, like the axe that floated in water, etc. The atheists are like, well, that's nonsense. How could that happen? And yet now we have scientists using sound waves to capture and float metal objects. It is literally shocking what scientists are doing with sound waves these days. And it's funny how nothing exists, nothing is possible unless the secular scientific world is able to do it. It's like when you see these news articles that come up in Yahoo or Google or whatever. When you get the news of the day, it's like scientists discover brand new species. And that this thing came up with a monkey recently where the headline was, scientists discover brand new species, and they call it a brand new species. Meanwhile, the local natives of that area had been keeping this particular monkey as a pet for hundreds of years, but because the scientists discovered it's a brand new species, and now the scientists are discovering ways to cause metal objects to float in midair. And they're saying this is brand new, never happened before because the secular scientists are able to do it using sound waves. It really is amazing. I have to admit that I've got a bit of a fondness for inventions and inventors, because I've got all these inventions floating around in my head that they look good on paper and I think they might work, but I don't really have time to do it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have inventions in their minds, that, they wish that they had the time, or maybe they've got a prototype built and it works. They don't know how to get it forward. And my heart goes out to you, really, honestly, because I've got those as well. And it's a very godly endeavor to be a person of inventiveness. Proverbs 8:12 says, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions. And I have to admit that I've really been excited about getting our next guest on. He's been scheduled for quite some time to come on, because he's got quite a story to tell about an invention. And it has to do with sound. And people are being healed by this invention. John Underwood's his name. And John was born in Watford, England. He moved to Canada with his parents in the 60s. And he graduated from University of Toronto in 1975 with a degree in electrical engineering. He worked for more than 35 years in the military electronics industry, designing equipment for use in military aircraft and ground combat vehicles. But he worked mainly on U.S. military contracts. In 2006, he left the military electronics industry, moved to Florida, wandered around Europe for a while, and he got saved in 2007. Then he started on the design for this particular device, and it says here that it eventually became Wavonic. And he's been working on that to this day. Mr. Underwood, are you there?
Yes, hi, Mike.
Hi, John. John, how are you, man? How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. It's going great. It's been a long haul, but we're getting there.
Hey,
and we see the light at the end of the tunnel.
You do. Now,
yeah.
You say it's been a long haul. You've been trying to get this device. Talk to us about this device for a minute. What is it?
Well, generally, it's just a frequency generator. It produces tones that are applied through some applicator to the body. And it goes through a series of these tones, and each of the tones has a specific function in terms of what it does. mainly we believe it's all due to relaxation and taking away, increasing blood flow, taking away stress, anything based on stress. And there's quite a bit of research out there that suggests that stress and various ailments are linked. So if you can reduce the stress, you get, not surprisingly, a reduction in or an improvement in the ailment that someone may have.
Yeah, I have often heard it said that stress and worry and fret, that is faith in reverse. And Jesus has many things to say about worry and why do you worry about this and that? I mean, what's the point? And now you're saying that stress and worry is causing sickness and disease out there.
Yeah, and we do believe it's linked to stress because when we've tested this device, one of the first things people say is how relaxing it is. In fact, I've seen people actually go to sleep while they're using this device. So it really reduces the stress level. And yeah, you're right. It does seem that combating stress is a way to go.
Science, John, has shown that sound waves are able to manipulate the natural world, right? I mean, the militaries are using sound as weapons, are they not?
I believe so, yes. I've been out of the business for quite some time now. I haven't really kept up with that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Wasn't there a famous case where they blasted rock and roll music into a camp or something to drive the people out?
Yeah, that I've heard those stories. Yeah, you make it loud enough and people will leave, and I guess it goes right through the earplugs, even if you try to plug your ears up.
Yeah, they surrender, don't they? So it's having the opposite effect. They're being used as a weapon to hurt people. But what you're saying is there is technology out there where it is being used to help people and heal people of certain ailments.
Yes, I don't know about heal. What we're finding is that we improve the quality of life, but
right.
But you need to continue to use the device on a periodic basis. So I think healing is a bit of a stretch, although I have seen healing in some cases of some ailments. But in the case of some of the ones we tested, and the story that started all this, he had to keep using his device about every 3 days.
Right. Well, can you tell us more about that particular case?
Yeah, the whole project came about as a consequence of a friend of mine's brother who was diagnosed with emphysema sometime before. In the 90s, I believe it was. But by about 2007, I think, he was told by his doctor that he had a very short time to live and that he should settle his affairs.
Wow.
And this man owned racehorses, so he was starting selling those off.
So wait a minute, he was given a death sentence.
He was given a death sentence,
wow.
Yes. Yeah. And he happened to be in Atlanta where his sister and brother live.
Yeah.
And heard about this technology, the sound technology that was available from a Dr. Bergeron down there.
Yeah.
And decided, well, what have I got to lose? And had a single treatment for about an hour and a half with this device. And it's audible sound. You can hear it. It's not ultrasonic or anything like that. And after that treatment, he was able to walk, because before that he couldn't walk even 10 feet.
Wow.
But after that, he could walk around the block. So he decided at that point to get his own machine. And, well, as a thoroughbred owner of thoroughbred horses, he didn't have too much problem with the price.
Right.
So he went out and bought one. And then he started using it on himself, and he found that he didn't need his oxygen anymore. Prior to the treatment, he was getting asthma attacks maybe once a year, severe enough to believe that he was actually going to die during the attack, and those went away.
Right.
Um,
Wow.
So, and that was in 2007. He's still alive.
Oh man.
So
Much
that,
for that death sentence, right?
exactly, and um, he was a bit unhappy he didn't try it a little sooner, because he'd been not getting a very good price for his horses. He did manage to sell a few, so he regretted.
Right.
I believe he heard about it, but he hadn't taken his sister up on his sister's advice on that. But I heard about that, and at the same time as this friend of mine in Atlanta told me that the device that his brother had purchased had gone obsolete.
Okay.
It was no longer in production,
Right.
and of course it was I think $8,000 at the time.
Did you say $80,000? $8,000.
$8,000, but I think it went up to 10.
Okay. Right.
But it wasn't available anymore. So his brother was actually quite concerned that should the device break down and he couldn't get it repaired, that the death sentence would be back on him again.
Now, we may have had a whole bunch of listeners tune out when they heard that price. I just want people to know, stay tuned, because now this is what makes it worthwhile to have Mr. Underwood on the show is because of the price. Because this guy has not invented the technology, but John's particular invention deals explicitly with the price. Because you have invented a machine, John, that does target and uses the same technology, but you've dramatically reduced the cost to you to make it, right?
Yes. I should say that I had a download from God on this one, actually.
Right.
In that there was more to it than simply the unit was obsolete. This technology's been around since the 60s, and hardly anybody knows about it.
Wow. They will now, John.
Yeah, but and the other aspect of it was it seemed to be in the control of people who didn't want the technology's secrets to come out.
I see.
And wanted to build these machines, but then be able to charge $7,500 an hour just to give treatment.
I see, right. Some proprietary protection there.
Exactly,
right.
Because I found this out when I tried to find out what the tone frequencies were.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So my first step that I took was to do a search on the internet to see if I could find anything on the internet, because as we all know, everything's on the internet. Well, this wasn't.
Right.
I couldn't find out those frequencies. So
I see. Yeah.
What ended up
the frequencies are universal, right?
Well, the frequencies, I don't know if they're universal. Each tone is made up of up to 5 individual pure frequencies, and what those 5 frequencies are was what was kept secret.
I see. Okay. So now, have you were you able to find the frequencies then?
Well, what ended up happening is my partner drove up to Sarnia, where I live, with his brother's unit.
Yeah.
And I took it apart.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a little reverse engineering there.
All
right, good for you.
And found all the frequencies that were stored inside it, and we went from there.
There you go.
But there was no other way to get that information.
Okay.
It was very closely held to their chests, so people knew about this stuff. So we did that. I must say, though, when he told me this, the story of his brother, that being an engineer, I said, sounds doing that?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
And
you got a bridge to sell me too.
Yeah, but I had to acknowledge the story was true, so I did start and agreed to come up with a unit that was significantly cheaper than the 8,000, using modern day microprocessor technology. And we ended up doing that. We developed a unit that retails for $500, which is a a severe reduction from of course, the 8,000 that it used to be.
Well, to be fair to the guys back in the 60s, though, I mean, the first DVD player was something like $5,000, right?
It was, but this device, the one that went obsolete, was designed, I think, in 2005.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was only around for about 3 years.
Right. Okay.
But the cost of it wasn't that they couldn't have used the technologies I use. It would just have been maybe 3 years sooner. And of course, the technology hasn't changed that much in 3 years.
No.
But the reason for the high cost was just simply the way it was engineered. It used bored out computer boards, bored out amplifiers.
Right.
And when you do that, it gets to be very expensive. Sure. And the case, I think, it looked like it had actually been milled out of solid aluminum. So John, you've got your unit. You've done some testing on this, on your unit, right? Yes.
Because the guy the case that we just talked about, that was not done with your unit. It was done with a different unit. And he paid like $10,000 for his, right?
Yes. One of the things I wanted to do first was to make sure that my design replicated that old unit in terms of the electronics part of it. That's what we did first. I very quickly built out of tiny little boards you can buy online. Right. A plexiglass version. It's actually in plexiglass, and I shipped that to this brother, my friend. Sure. And he tried it out, and he tried it out with the applicator that came with the old unit. So what I did was put the connector on our unit on this prototype that would mate with his applicator, because that was the first step. I had to make sure that I had reverse engineered the tones and everything else correctly. Yeah. So he tested that, and he came back with a positive response on that it worked for him, and he was actually very happy with it because it only weighed a pound. It was only 1 pound. 1 pound instead of 18.
Yeah, right. You could bring it on to hotel rooms with it, and it wouldn't be so cumbersome.
Right. He certainly never took his other unit on the road with him. It was just too heavy.
So give us a list, John. Now, you can't make any extreme claims of healing here and so on, but give us a list of ailments here. I mean, what's going on here? What are the benefits to this machine?
Well, the first ailments that we've tested it on and have had great results with are asthma. Yeah. And sinus conditions, and we have done tests on COPD emphysema, which is what this brother had.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah. With the asthma, I think everybody who's had asthma has had a tremendous increase in their quality of life. Yeah. We held a trial on our unit in January of 2013. And I remember, I distinctly remember, because we put out a little flyer asking for volunteers for this test. Right. And I remember getting a phone call from a young guy who was only 23, but you could hear how his voice, he was laboring just to talk to me on the phone. Sure. And this same young guy was using his puffer 8 times a day. He had these asthma puffers as they do. And he was using it 8 times a day, so much so that his prescription was running out before it should, and he had to go to the emergency room to get it refilled because the pharmacist wouldn't do it. Yeah, because you're only supposed to use it a limited number of times a day. He was using it way over what he should. Sure, and you just felt for this guy when you could hear him on the phone. So he became part of our test, and within 4 treatments I think each treatment's about an hour and 15 minutes. Right. We did that 1 a week. Right. And in fact, his testimony, we have a testimony from him, but after 4 treatments, he could walk. He could walk the blocks. In fact, he got to the point where he didn't know where his puffers were.
Wow. So wait a minute. So And so you're not perpetually hooked up to this thing then, like you would be
No.
to an oxygen tank. Eventually these people end up on oxygen, right?
Yeah.
And so this is just an hour and 15 minutes a week, and this
For
guy's
him, yeah.
off his puffers completely.
He uses it. There are some extreme occasions when he may use it, like is it in winter up here in Canada? If it's really cold, he might use his puffer once or twice.
Sometimes if it's really cold, I was up in Manitoba when it was colder than the surface of Mars, and I could have used a puffer, and and I don't have any respiratory problems. But anyway, so this guy, so what if he used it twice a week?
Well, I don't know. If he used it twice a week, are you suggesting it might go away? We have found that, we didn't treat him for another 6 months.
Oh.
And
so four treatments, and he was living the life of a normal person.
Yeah, in fact, he does exercises now. He's
my goodness.
I should say though, we don't advocate people giving up their puffers.
Right.
This is not a unit that is designed to get people off their oxygen tanks or their puffers. They should have these things available to them just in case they need them.
Right. But their quality of life is dramatically improved, it sounds.
Oh, it is. And we had another woman who wouldn't go to the restaurant because she was so embarrassed coughing up phlegm and the like. And she hadn't been to a restaurant in years, and now she's going to a restaurant. And she's playing with her granddaughter, and she works in a nursing home, and she couldn't use the stairs. She was always using the elevator. Well, one day the elevator wasn't working, so she had to go up and down the stairs. And now she routinely goes up and down the stairs after using this device.
Wow.
She's so happy with it. She's another one we've got another testimonial.
One. Yeah. So you got several testimonies then.
Yes. Yeah.
This is just getting off the ground, John. Is this a machine? Is this a device available for purchase just from anybody?
Yep. Yeah. You can go online at wavonic.com and you can purchase a device, and we ship it to you.
Talk to me about physical pain.
Physical pain?
Yeah. But is there anything that deals with physical? Let's say somebody has leg pain.
Okay. Maybe we should get into, there are indications that, and this doctor in Atlanta, Dr. Bergeron, has used it for all sorts of other things.
Right.
Fibromyalgia, pain. Fibromyalgia is a pretty tough one, though.
Right.
It can take, it seems, a very long time to have an impact on that. But physical pain, like soft tissue pain, yes, this device works on that too.
I could see that because there's many doctors who say that pain can be psychosomatic as well. If the machine is reducing stress, pain would understandably reduce.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the sort of pain we deal with is psychosomatic. I think it's very real. The other aspect to this technology, I should say, I don't think anybody really knows what it's doing and how it's doing it. It seems like God's the only one who knows that at the moment.
Okay.
But there is some speculation that it improves blood flow around an injured area.
Right, sure.
Which leads to
oxygenating the area.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
There's a famous episode in the Bible, where the Hebrews marched on the town of Jericho, and they were to advance on the town, and the way they brought the walls because Jericho was a walled city, and the way they brought the walls down was they just marched around it 7 times and blew their trumpets at it. I laugh because God told them, here's what's going to happen. You're going to cause sound waves and vibrations, walking around it, vibrating the ground, and then blowing sound waves at it, vibrating it with the trumpets, cause the walls to fall down. The entire event was happened as a result of vibration.
Yeah.
And you are fine-tuning sound waves and vibrations, and people are seeing, dare I say, miraculous results. Yeah,
they are. And what we'd like to do, obviously, is get into seeing what it can do for other things. Because as I said, there are indications that it works for many other things. But it comes down to testing and searching for volunteers to run tests.
But there are known results that you have. It does relieve symptoms of COPD and asthma.
Yes.
Yeah, and this machine now in the past, this machine has been sold for upwards of $10,000.
Yeah.
What are you selling it for?
$500.
$500.
Yeah. $499.
You've reduced the price that much?
Yeah, we have, and we get free shipping with that too. So
really?
Well, yes, we've reduced it that much.
I had you on to talk about this technology, and you're telling me that people can buy this machine for less than $500?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's well, that was the main aim of this whole project was actually to bring it within reach of ordinary people, because $8,000 to $10,000 is not really within the reach of ordinary people. Right. And at the same time, as I said before, is to bring the technology out, bring it out of from behind the curtain, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, you almost see this as a ministry, right?
I certainly do.
You certainly do.
And as I said earlier, I did get download on this that my ministry in life, it really is to make people aware of this technology.
You are that sold on this that.
Oh, I'm sold on it. You see, I did say I was
sold on it
too,
by the way. I was sold on it when I started seeing scientists come out and show people how they're manipulating the natural world using sound. They're able to capture, John, I don't know if you heard my intro, but they're able to capture metal objects using sound waves and move them around in midair. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you heard me talk about that or not.
Yeah, I did hear you talk about that.
This is amazing. And so I've been sold on this for a long time. And then when I saw your stuff and your testimonies, I've seen some of these testimonies online, by the way. And when I started seeing that, I saw your name started to come up. I got to get this guy on the show. Mm. And you're saying this.
And I thank you for having me on.
This is so this is a ministry for you. See, a lot of this I was not aware of. But you see this, that you talk about getting downloads from God. Most of the ppsimmons audience will understand that language, by the way. Yeah. You're talking about getting downloads from God, that this is a personal ministry for you. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing that the Lord has brought you to us here.
Yeah, and I through the entire project, I was getting approaches on design issues, on marketing issues, on all sorts of things. That's not to say we didn't go off the path a couple of times, and I recognize in hindsight where we went off the path, and this may have been done sooner than this, but eventually we did get back on track. But yes, I ever since I saw those tests that we performed in January of 2013, it was so heartwarming to see these people and how grateful and how happy they were with the complete reversal of their situation in life in terms of their quality. It choked you up, actually. It did me on occasion.
Wow. So where can people go to get this thing then?
You can go to wavonic.com. That's WAVONIC.com. And you'll find a product page there that has this device, and you can order it online.
John Underwood, everybody. John, I mean, when this, we're going to have you back on when we have more time, because
that would be my pleasure.
There's all kinds of there's more and more information coming out now, more and more science coming out on this, and so the next time there's anything in the news that causes us to need an expert in this, you're our guy. How's that sound?
It would be my pleasure to be back on again.
John Underwood, everybody. Wow. Let's hear it for John. You've been listening to ppsimmons Radio. My name is Mike Shoesmith. Thanks for listening.